Danny McMahon.
In the house.
Hey. Oh, whoa. Hey, things are out of control here. What's going on? Let's see. Whoa. We don't get twice. I mean, I know we've been around. We've been gone for a long time, but we don't get to play the.
It's a dope little jam. I actually like it a lot.
We don't get to play our music twice. Oh. Hey, so we're coming live from the bike. We're well, not live. We're recording in the bike shop today.
Yes, we are in a packed bike shop.
It's jam packed, and I'll explain a little bit later. But we also have one of my employees is staring at us, like wondering what the hell we're doing, because he's never been witness to.
This is what you do in your 50s, Ed.
Yeah.
This is what you have to look forward to.
Step up to the mic. There's a mic and a set of headphones there. Look at that.
Hey guys.
Hey Ed.
New voice.
How are you?
I'm good. I can't hear myself. Is that normal?
I like it that way. But I can probably adjust.
There you go.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, I like that.
Nice.
We're very professional here.
It sounds nice.
Yeah, does it sound good?
We're not messing around.
You have real headphones. Those are the Sonys. Those are like pro, man. You see that on the radio
They sound pro.
stations. Yeah, that's a real microphone there.
This is great.
It's a good microphone, a real mixer. Check this out. Hey, here's Ed. Hey! Woo!
That's cool.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
Ah, that's cool. You know what you do when I see you? You know what happens?
What?
My heart beats.
Your heart beats.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So you guys are just, I just came in to the shop.
Mhm.
Beautiful Saturday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Sunny. I like this weather. It's 60. It's
Mhm.
kind of my perfect weather almost. But you guys are just finishing up a long day. First really nice day in a while in Chicago.
Yeah,
and
and
it happened to be on a Saturday.
we just got done with a week of the last month it's been pretty much nonstop rain in Chicago.
It's been like 50 days of
rain and
darkness.
gloom and gray. And it's the first sunny Saturday in a while.
It's
here.
beautiful.
Were you both here all day today from 10 to now?
No, I've been here since 10. Ed showed up at some point during the day.
Yeah, I got a day job. I'm a mechanic by night.
Yeah, Ed has so he is a perfect example of what people that help me here at the shop. He's got a full-time gig at a bank. He's a banker.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like it. Yeah, whenever he mentions he works at a bank, everyone just assumes he's you're a teller?
Or a janitor.
Or a janitor.
Which I kind of like being low-key like that.
They just look at him. They're like, "Oh, you can't be a banker."
He doesn't have any type of authority.
No, none. Although he's approving loans and real important things, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna call your boss someday.
What's the go-to down payment on a house these days?
I believe
I hear it's crazy.
I'd still, you know what? I don't do any of the mortgages.
Okay.
I just do like home lines of equity, home lines of credit, things
Gotcha.
like that.
Gotcha.
But you're probably 20%.
Yeah.
20 is what I always heard
Yeah.
from back in the days. It's still about, I hear it's just crazy now. Like I don't know a lot about it, but I know that Sarah, she'll peek on Zillow and reads up a little bit. And even if you're paying above asking, you're in this line,
Oh yeah.
you have to be A plus 100% and then have a ton of luck and then beat other people to it. In the city, I don't know about out in the burbs, but
No, everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, the market got really, really hot. I mean, I think it still is kind of hot, even with mortgage rates going up.
I think
Well,
it's
listen
so
to us. We sound like
Yeah.
a Sunday morning mortgage show right now.
with the smell of lube,
Mm-hmm.
It smells nice in here.
Yeah,
bike lube.
I prefer this smell for sure.
Than the bank.
Yeah.
Well, the bank probably smells good.
It smells good. Yeah. But, just, rubber, lube.
Yeah,
Metal.
the smell of bike shop.
Yeah.
I have people that come in and just sniff, take a deep, like a.
Is this like a fetish thing?
They just like the smell of a bike shop.
Hmm.
The rubber. It's
Yeah.
the tire.
I wish I could put
Connoisseurs.
it in a
Hey,
Shh. Oh, I'm gonna cut that out.
product
I'm
idea.
gonna cut that out. How do I'm gonna beep that out. No,
Make it like it it drives Sarah crazy, but I love. So
Okay,
I
stop.
wanna
Let's
get-
stop
I wanna
talking
get
about
the
it
mic.
because I'm gonna have to beep this one out too. I'm gonna beep all of this out. This is just gonna be a big blank space.
Big question. Do you have to wear a suit when you're banking?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Do you,
So I
do you
go.
have a variety, or do you wear the same one every day like a high school teacher?
I have 3 suits.
Okay, on rotation.
Yes. And just a bunch of different color shirts. So I have a navy, a black, and then tan.
Do you have any goofy ties, or do you play it straight?
I play it pretty straight. I did want to start getting into the goofy tie thing, but my girlfriend says that I shouldn't. Every time I try to look at the goofy tie, she's like, "No, don't buy that." I was
That's
like,
like something
Really?
old people
Yeah.
do,
Oh,
like 50-year-olds like us. I have like
Yeah.
a Guinness tie.
Mhm.
It's actually kind of cool because it doesn't say Guinness. It doesn't have a pint glass on it. It's like blue and it has black dots, and it kind of looks like the condensation on a Guinness glass.
Hmm.
It's kind of cool. But I could see you in a suit, rolling all big into the bank every day.
I wear a pinky ring and stuff.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
You know.
Do you put on like a totally different like personality when you go in
Totally,
there? Are you
yes.
like all shrewd, like tough Wall Street guy?
Yeah, for sure. It's like,
Gordon Gecko.
it's very straight.
Read is good.
Dry cut. Is that the word? Is that the phrase?
Sure.
Clean cut.
Clean cut, but also dry cut. Like
You're
Okay.
are you really dry at work? I don't know your work
Yeah, with-
persona. Your
it's working,
bank persona.
with clients, yes, but with colleagues, things get a little bit crazy.
a
Sometimes.
little loose.
Oh.
They all think he's the crazy guy because he works at the bike shop.
No,
and,
they don't really know what I do.
They don't really.
No, I don't. I don't really tell anybody anything I do.
So we're revealing some stuff here. It's like
Mhm.
another scoop on the
Oh, wait till
Bike
we
Shop
start
Society
talking about his
podcast.
girlfriend.
Oh my god.
Oh, boy.
Oh, she doesn't listen, right? She's not a listener here.
No, she's calling me now. Look at.
Ah, see, she's
Look
looking the old ball and chain.
Yeah.
we'll
Oh, you
call
got
that,
the Apple
Danny.
Watch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll lay some wisdom on you because I think Danny and I are, we're older than you. We probably got it almost. Yeah,
I don't know, Joe. I'm not sure how much I
You guys got
We've
maybe
got 20
years.
We've got
on me.
20 years on you.
20 years on me.
Oh, he's in that stage right now,
It's a beautiful time.
Daniel.
Enjoy every day.
He's in that stage right now where he's like, she wants to get married, and they're living together and the talk of babies, and
She loves talking about babies.
and-
Oh. Wow.
and he has doubts. He has serious doubts about it's just there are things that just rub him completely wrong, and I'm telling him,
Are you comfortable with us talking about this?
This is fine. Yeah,
it's
you guys
okay,
can totally
right?
talk
Yeah,
about
she doesn't
this.
listen.
She's
She
never
doesn't-
gonna hear.
She's never
this.
going to hear this.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell her about this. Come on.
It's gonna be 2 minutes of beep.
No, So and I've seen this stage of the bike shop employee. I've lived this many a time over the years. I've been that guy in that position at a bicycle shop. We're going exactly through his situation.
You could be like a really niche therapist. Like you specialize in one thing. Guys who work in bike shops, getting older, going through the phases of life.
Oh, I've been every stage of the bike shop, and the guy bike shop employee. I've been every from 17 years old all the way up to bike shop sage bike shop owner, and so I've seen it over the years. I've seen this stage many a time. Guys get to that 29, 30, 31-year-old age, kind of is still working in the bike shop around the bikes.
Can't quit it.
Can't quit it. My girlfriend, it's ready.
Time to get serious.
Yeah,
Mortgage.
all that stuff, and
It's a great job, to be honest. Like it's very fulfilling. I love working on stuff. I wish I could do it forever, to be honest.
here I am. Look at me. Look how successful I am. No, that is the unfortunate part of the bike shop business is that at some point you got to leave Disneyland.
Yeah.
Most people do. I mean, except for the owner of the shop, and really, I'm keeping the amusement park alive so that my friends can come and play every once in a while. That's really all. I like going to
The
like.
gatekeeper.
Yeah, I got the squeaky old roller coaster that I keep fixing, and there's lights out in some of the games, but the guys still like to come and ride the that creaky old roller coaster or merry-go-round, and and I'm really right now. I've had a lot of people come back recently, like in the last year. I would say since we've started the podcast, Danny.
Oh wait, coincidence? Or
yeah, I think you can not. They don't even know that we have a show going on. But it's funny how you put these feelings
maybe
and
they do know.
and you throw these things out into the world, and how people have started like Ed, for example. He just kind of came in back out of the blue. Ed worked for me in the past, went away. He hit that age, 29, 30. I got to leave
Flying
the
the
shop. I'm I'm better than this. I got to go. Girlfriend says you're better than this. You got to go get a job. He got a real job at the bank.
Got a suit.
Got a
three
suit.
suits.
Yeah, I had to
Three
put a suit
suits.
on.
Yeah. But at some point, the bike shop, it's like, okay, I get settled in. I'm doing something, but I miss the bikes. And so now you got a job. You got you've got 3 suits. You've got probably business. I'm sure he's got business cards.
Myriad ties and shirts.
Yeah.
And you got that kind of seriousness.
Mm-hmm.
You got the killer resume going.
And a good thing for her to tell her parents.
Yes.
Like as opposed to like, what does that do? Oh, he works at a bike shop.
Yeah. Well,
Never good.
When
Never
I
good.
first left, I ended up I tried to stay in the industry for as long as I could. So I worked for some startup companies. I got to be a traveling mechanic for a while. I was in Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, and then also in San Diego. I was working for a startup, and I ended up being in charge of the whole Southwest of the United States, launching their startup, and it worked out. The only thing is that they ended up getting kicked out of the country because they were a Chinese-owned company. So, so there was something going on, and then one of my things is I had to pack up all the bikes. So that was a great job. Like I would have been set if that stuck around. You know what I mean?
And what was it? What was the company doing?
It was called Mobike. They were doing dockless bike sharing.
Oh, okay.
And it was great. I had like company housing, company car, and
Oh man, you got around.
yeah, it was awesome. Like it was like
How long did that last?
that lasted about 8 months.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were as soon as they were in the scene, as soon as we left, I guess. And it was great. I mean, it was great money. I would have been set for life. They were giving me equity in the company and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden it just left.
Yeah.
They wanted me to move to Spain, but I'm a family man, so I need to stay home. But I thought about it for a bit.
At least you had that opportunity and you had that experience, and you got to go to Texas for 8 months at least.
Yeah, everybody loves Texas.
Yeah, well, yeah, Texas was
Certain
cool.
parts.
San Diego was my favorite, to be honest.
Yeah.
I got to live in a really
You
cool.
can deal with the horrible weather.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, cold and rainy there all the time.
Fish
time.
tacos,
Oh yeah.
breweries, So yeah, it seemed like there were a rash of those like dockless bike companies. I know I went to Arizona a handful of times for a few years. Like every winter, I would kind of go down there and ride my bike and hang out with my old college buddy Dave. But I remember they had a fledgling kind of dockless bike company there too, and I was like jumping on those bikes a lot. I forget the name of it, but yeah, I don't know. Those seem a little bit tricky. I know doesn't Lyft own part of Divvy?
Yeah.
And even with a kind of a decent backer like that, I think actually Divvy's doing well. And I know City Bike in New York. I think it's still City Bike.
And then yeah, Davey's doing great. And then I came back to Chicago and I was working for not Mobike. It was Uber.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had dockless bike sharing, and it was a red bike. I forgot the name of it, and I was there for a while.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, here in Chicago. That one.
That was after you were here with me. You got around that much, Ed?
Yeah.
Gee, man, what
Yeah.
a
Well, that was that, and then that led to that job.
This guy's a mover and shaker, Joe.
he just bounces around.
And then
Startups, hanging out.
I know.
South,
startups never
Midwest.
stuck. The startups.
Yeah,
never
I mean, a lot of startups don't make it, unfortunately.
know.
But the ones that do, they can be good. But well, it's a great experience that you had, though.
It was fun. It was a good time.
Makes your resume look really killer.
Cycling definitely brought took me to places I never thought I would go.
Now, in the Texas gig, did you marry banking and cycling, or is it pretty much all? I mean, what was it? Was it an overlap, like a Venn diagram, where you were kind of in the middle? Like, I know bikes, but I also know banking, or was it more just?
I've always liked finance, and then I started. I came back for a little bit with Joe, and then I started selling cars.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
New cars, used cars?
new cars. I was working for a while, and then
That's after you worked with me, right?
yeah, for a little bit because I came back for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because and then because those startups failed, so I came here for a little bit again, and then I started working selling cars.
How long did you sell cars?
Oh man, I don't even know. I think it was probably like 2 years going from dealer to dealer. You know, managers would leave, and I would just go with the manager. Like,
Okay.
It's kind of cool because
Like a clan?
yeah, the managers would take their whole crew with you. Kind of felt like pirates on a ship,
Yeah.
or something. You know.
Well, in cycling, they do that. Like,
Yeah.
Peter Sagan won't go anywhere without his brother Uri, and there's a long history of that kind of thing. Wow, man, you've had cool experience.
Yeah, it's been cool.
But now you're back here, Ed.
I love
And
it.
it all comes back here.
I love
Yeah.
it here, though. You know what I mean?
You know what?
It's a very cozy shop for the folks who don't know the shop or haven't looked on the gram or whatever. It's a very cozy shop. It's small, but it's cozy.
you know, I've learned over the years, and I've had, like I said, I've mentored many a young man at the bike shop. I've been the young man. I've been mentored, and now I realize that I'm kind of the mentor. You know, I have people that come and visit me that worked with me when I was, when they were 15. Now they're grown men, and they all come hang out and say hi and talk about the great times that they've had at the bike shop. And so now I've actually realized that, oh wow, that's kind of a place that I almost see it as a bit of a responsibility now. Now that it's coming, now that I hear it so often.
Role model, influencer.
Yeah, I mean,
mentor, sage.
Yeah, somewhat bad road. I don't know if it's a bad role model, but some sort of role model. Someone. I mean, I certainly have some information to pass down. Because I've seen so many things and seen people do it right and seen people do it wrong, and but at the very least, it's a place where everybody seems. A lot of friends are finding each other through the bike shop and reconnecting through the bike shop, and that's kind of cool.
It is cool. There's
friends.
There are layers. There's you're public facing. You have public in and all day, but there's also a lot of context behind the scenes. Like there are a lot of relationships and
old friends.
You've been talking lately about some folks who have kind of come back, and they're kind of in the mix a little bit again. And
the last couple of years,
I did the same, kind of.
Yeah, the last couple of years have given people time to think and time to pause and time to remember what's important to them, and I think that for most of us that have met through the bike shop, bikes are a really big part of our lives. We've just spent we've been in and around bikes for a very long time, and the bike shop has always been the meeting place for us. In some cases, literally, it was the meeting place.
Yeah.
For many of us, was the bicycle shop.
IRL.
It's where we met, and
I don't know about you, but I'm getting emotional.
No, it's good. Hopefully, some other people are getting emotional about it, because it is. I had to find a reason why I'm in this business and why I've stuck around it for a long time. It's never been about the money. It's always been. It's always been about the good times that I've had at the bike shop, and I always did see it as kind of a bit of as a responsibility to my old bosses. All those stories, all that knowledge that they've passed on, all those things. If I didn't do this, all of that would have ended with them.
Yep.
And specifically my old boss, Mark at Cycle Smithy. I don't think that anybody out of that shop went on to open a shop. Out of Turin, there's several guys out of the Turin bike shop that have opened bicycle shops. But out of Cycle Smithy, I don't know of anybody specifically, certainly not from my era, that went on to open a bicycle shop, still carry that DNA. So I always thought it was kind of, I kind of owed it to those guys to continue on with it. And, especially now that we're all getting a little bit older, and, all these guys are kind of, everybody's all over the place. It's nice that they have been contacting me over the last since the beginning of the year. It just seems like we started the podcast, and then some of these people have been coming through.
Yeah.
They've been calling. They've been, and it has nothing to do with the podcast. So it's not. They don't even know that we're doing it. Wait till they hear that we're doing a podcast, and I'm going to invite them on to talk about the great times we've had at bike shops.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool.
It's not like that cold, cutthroat environment, Joe, of banks.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff is.
I'm sure there's some hijinks at the bank.
No.
It's like I'm gonna.
You got to be tough to be there.
I'm gonna.
It's not like this is the.
Come on, you don't slip some fives into the hundreds every once in a while, just for fun,
No.
just to like throw them off.
You never had your high school buddies come in and
Yeah.
rob the place.
No, but we do have like older people that come in and say stuff like that, like "Give me all the money you have in the vaults."
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's like a joke. I'm like,
Yeah.
Oh, you
Like,
can't do that
Come
anymore.
on, sir, you can't do that. You can't say that, sir.
Uh,
But I
love
back
that.
to like the bike shop. I always felt like the reason people keep coming back is cycling's kind of a way of life. I feel like it's a lifestyle for sure, and this place is kind of I see it as like a dojo, and Joe's the sensei.
oh man,
Sensei Joe, and it's good to get away from the dry cut and cutthroat life of finance and come here and wrench on some stuff. And
whenever I see a kid angry or upset at the bike shop, or like frustrated, and I'm like, man, dude, if you can't cut it in a bicycle shop, you're not going to be able to cut it in life, because the bike shop is like, this is kind of make believe. I mean, yes, there's certainly work to do. There are, you get customers who are a handful sometimes, and even trouble, and there's stressful days at the bike shop. There are stressful days, but for the most part, we're not, nothing we're doing is life or death. And, it's usually we're dealing with people that want to go out and ride their bike and have fun.
Yeah.
So, as long as we get them their bike, and as long as we do what we got to do, our public is generally pretty happy. They're here. We're fixing the thing that makes them happy. We're giving them, we're bringing some sort of joy to their life, or helping them feel better. And that's cool. I mean, I'm not in some sort of business where people are generally in a bad mood. You get that guy every once in a while. It's normal, but all in all, it's a pretty, it's a pretty cool place to, spend your day. And
bikes
Yeah,
are a
people.
thing where it's like, for many people, it's nostalgia. It's from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's a better times or something like that. And it's got that power.
Yeah.
yeah, everybody
Yeah.
remembers like being a little kid and going to the next town over for the first time by themselves on their bike.
We were talking about that before. Yeah. It's
last pod.
it's like if you went to a different world.
Yeah,
I mean, the bike opened up like a completely different neighborhood to you, and especially growing up here in Chicago, where the neighborhoods were very, there were some clear borders in certain neighborhoods.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you would drift you would cross a street like Western, or you cross certain. There are certain streets that you would
Harlem,
cross in Chicago where the neighborhood could change drastically.
Yep.
From one demographic to the other, from one socioeconomic.
I remember
level to
feeling
another.
scared sometimes when I was like really young, and usually I would be with a buddy, but I just remember not like horrified scared, but just kind of like, oh my God, I'm in this new area I haven't really been to. I felt kind of like I was kind of growing up, and I don't know, it was just kind of like,
Yeah.
it was, there was kind of a weird feeling about it in some ways. And it was like, how far should I go? Should I go farther?
Oh yeah.
What if something happens? Oh, I didn't bring any money. Like, it was pre cell phones and all that stuff, obviously.
Oh,
it was adventure, and it was freedom, and it was that, but it was also like,
that fear. Yeah, the fear of a flat.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was that kind of like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
like I'm not 100% sure, but then you build up, then you do it again the next weekend, and then you have that confidence.
Yep.
And the bike is a vehicle for it, literally and figuratively.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what at least the three of us, I think we all kind of experienced that on a bike. And, it's funny because I think people are, we see it here at the shop. There are adults who never experienced that as kids, who are now experiencing it as an adult.
That's kind of cool.
You know, they're
Better late than never.
you know, the last couple of years they were forced to get back on a bike or to get on a bike for really the first time and do some riding, you know, because the health club was closed or, you know, they were stuck at home. And, you know, I've had people come in and say they want to ride around the world. Like, I want to ride around the world. You know, I'm like, do you ride now? No. Do you have a bike? No.
Maybe start with the Payless trails.
Yeah. Well, you know, I have to dial them all the way back. But, you know, in some cases they do make a little bit of investment. They buy a bike. You know, they're willing to spend a couple of $1,000s on a bike, and you know, take that for at least that first step, and maybe, you know, try a 35-mile ride and try, you know, but they're gung ho. You know,
It's great. And, you know, we've waxed about this before, but I think for me personally, like seeing, like when I was, especially going to like some foreign countries, like doing it by bike was like awesome. It was such I mean, it's almost cliche, but it was super cool because just those tiny little interactions you have on the bike that you would never, ever get in a car.
Oh,
And
never.
You would never, maybe even get it walking because you'd be so limited. And just the way you kind of just appreciate like the little neighborhoods and the little towns and going through and just the little back and forth you might have with someone on the road or even other cyclists.
Yeah, though, you know, the walking, I mean, walking, my wife has done the Camino de Santiago,
What's that?
the St. James Way. You know, that there's a movie called The Way with,
Sounds vaguely
Is it
familiar.
a pilgrimage?
yeah, it's in
Oh,
Spain.
okay.
You know, you start in France.
I
and-
have heard of that. Yeah.
And so that's like a big, you know, that's a month long.
That's an organized walk?
You can do it on your own. You can do it with an organized group. She did it on her own.
Can you do it by bike?
You can, and so that's something that's on the list of things for us to do.
Wow.
That's
very cool.
To do that. You know, that's I suggest you guys take a look at Camino de Santiago because it's definitely something that I'm doing, and I don't think I'll be able to do it this year, but in the next couple of years, I'd love to do it. And anybody who wants to come along and do it, let me know. We'll go out and.
It sounds great. Yeah, I didn't mean to diss walking. I love walking.
No, you
I
know
love
what?
long hikes.
I'm gonna diss walking.
Well, but I want
Walking
to.
sucks.
I want to do that. I want to do that on the bike, and so you know, just because I can't, you know, obviously I can't take a month off in the summer to do that. You know, and so
It's a long time.
it's a long time, and that's I guess that's what I was getting to is that on the bicycle, it's a great. You can cover some territory.
Yeah.
It's just an efficient way to cover a larger distance, a longer distance, and but you know, still see it. You know, still feel it, smell it.
You're experiencing it in a car. You're very isolated.
Oh, the car has nothing on a bike. You know, because it's. I mean, you feel on the bicycle, you feel the road. I mean, you feel the country under your tires.
Smells,
you smell the
weather,
smell is huge.
You're in the
weather.
elements.
Yeah, that gentle rolling climb that doesn't feel like anything in the car, but on a bicycle.
Riding past the French bakery and the fresh pain au chocolat.
Oh, into the small town. Oh, you've never experienced
never
that, right, Ed?
experienced this,
Oh
no.
man,
My favorite thing was on my rides when I lived in France. So pain, which is PAIN for bread, they would have these little signs that just said pain, and that meant there was a bakery coming up.
yeah.
And of course, I'm in my reptilian brain when I'm like doing my intervals because I was racing at the time. I was like, it would just say pain. So I'm like pain. But yeah, you can't beat going by bike.
Yeah, man. Oh, Ed, that's something you haven't experienced yet on the bike. It's funny because you've experienced kind of the bike shop portion of it without I mean, I know you've ridden a bike around town and you've done, you know, little bike trips here and there.
Yeah.
But that, like foreign country riding, doing stuff like on that bike and really, really like going places on the bike.
Yeah, I've only ridden the Chicagoland area.
Yeah,
on a
dude.
bicycle.
I mean, you have, I guess we can say it, right, Danny?
I mean, I
It's
would
like
say,
you have no idea what you're missing yet.
it's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, you have a lot to look forward to, I guess. It's not what you know, you have a lot to look forward to. Because if you hang out with us, you're going to get an opportunity to ride some of that stuff. And I'm so looking forward to getting back there and revisiting some of these places.
oh yeah, it's magical. It's paradise.
Yeah,
countries like that. I mean, there's so many beautiful countries, but Spain, France, I mean, those places are magical.
yeah, there's a reason why there's a Tour de France and a Tour of Spain and a Giro d'Italia.
Yes.
I mean, there's a reason that there's a reason like there's these grand tours.
They've lasted a century.
Yeah,
and only stopped for war.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, some of these climbs, some of these roads, some of these stages.
Mm-hmm.
It's the equivalent of somebody being able to play baseball in Yankee Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you like baseball, if you're a big baseball fan and you like to play baseball at the park, if they let you play baseball at Yankee Stadium or Wrigley Field or Sox Park, I mean, that would be right. That would be crazy. But on a bike, you can go ride these roads.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can go and ride Mount Ventoux.
Yep.
You can go ride the great climbs in the Tour de France or the Giro d'Italia. You can ride the same stage.
Yep.
You can ride through the same town. And there's something very special about that. It's just being able. There are certain places that were just made for cycling. I mean, there are places that are. I mean, we live in Chicago. Quite frankly, not one of the best places in the world to ride a bicycle.
No.
I mean, we're pretty friendly, right? But it's not.
I'm just talking about terrain-wise. I'm talking about. I mean, we make do.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you ride in one of these great places,
like the aesthetics and the free flowness of it,
and the roads. I mean, we're in one of the flattest places on earth.
Yeah.
I mean, the Midwest.
Yeah.
The plains. I mean, this is like.
You know what though? I didn't. I understand that flat is not that fun maybe, but when I rode in San Diego, I hated the hills.
You know what?
I hated the hills so much.
Well, yeah, because
But going down was fun.
Yeah, going down was fun,
See?
but you have to make it up at first.
It's like life though. It's like you have to earn it. So it's like there's the struggle. It's worth doing, and then you get that descent, and you can bomb at 50 miles an hour.
It's the reason why Danny is back riding a bicycle and training, and it's the reason I picked up the bike and started riding again and lost 40 pounds and have gotten in shape because
Good for you, man.
It's hard. It's hard. It's hard work. I mean, you earn it for sure, but the prize, the just like the amazing feeling that you get from like carrying yourself up the side of a mountain and then looking over and seeing the valley and seeing how high you've come. Like it's an amazing up in the clouds, like literally sometimes up in the clouds.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you will
Thin air.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really, it's a great feeling. It's hard and it's really hard to describe. It's breathtaking. All of that.
And there's a whole like kind of Zen thing about it. There's a whole like, I mean, and it's like anything, you get better the more you do it. If you're heavier, that's more challenging just because of gravity.
Yeah,
gravity sucks, right?
Yeah.
And but no, seriously, like you get better at it. You learn how to like, work your bike a little bit, sit on the saddle a certain way, use your gear a certain way, you're breathing. Like it's just like fascinating how over time, like you just get better at all of these things. But then, the fun of bombing down a descent.
The descent is amazing. It's just like, oh my God, it's like it's the roller coaster.
Without trying, I mean, depending on what you're riding, without trying, you're doing 50. So it's more like you're on the brakes.
It's amazing how fast you go.
Yeah.
It's amazing how fast
and
you
how
like
fast you go fast.
Yeah.
You can go from like 0 to 30 and like.
Yeah, you scare yourself because most likely you've never gone that fast on a bicycle and how quickly it'll accelerate, and you get a completely different appreciation watching the Tour de France. Like once you watch a tour and you see them going down that descent that you rode,
and they show the motorcycle speedometer, they do the little focus on the speedometer on the side. Yeah. Especially on like 23, 25 mil tires.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
that sounds scary.
I mean, you know what? If you're a cycling fan, if you like cycling, you owe it to yourself to do it. Like if you call yourself a cyclist, if do what you can to go and ride in some of these places because you'll really, I mean, it just changes your whole outlook. On how you watch these races and experience some of those races.
Yeah, and you also learn about your own limits and your own level of risk.
Yeah,
how risk averse you are, and like I remember doing all these great climbs like in the south of France. But I never went crazy on descents. I would go fast when I knew it was safe. Meaning there was an open stretch, no vehicles, and I had ridden that dozens of times. Like I would get into a tuck, and I'd hit 50. I maybe hit 50 something, who knows? But I other than that, kind of play it kind of safe. I would definitely err on the side of going safe, but it's still beautiful, and you're still going fast. Like 40 is still very, very fast.
It's very fast. It's very fast. When I first went over there to race bikes, like this, I thought the hardest part was going to be climbing. And yes, it was hard, but the descents were scary. Like really,
it's a different
really scary.
kind of hard, because it really is a skill. And everyone and their mother thinks descending, like anyone can do it. It's the easiest thing. It's super hard. And then if you add the element of racing and a pack, and there's guys coming up, passing you, you're passing guys, guys making some bad choices with their lines or coming in too hot or whatever. It's actually very nerve-wracking.
Oh, it's scary. I mean, it was like I was terrified.
Yeah.
I was terrified. My first month of racing out there was like I was terrified. And I would lose so much time on the descents. I would lose time on the descents. And then I learned a trick, which was to find the team that was local and try to follow those guys because they knew the descents. They knew the course. And if you were going to try and follow somebody, try and find that local team and try to follow them.
Well, even in the pros at the highest level, the Tour de France, there are riders who don't descend well. I think the Schlecks were maybe Andy Schleck, I think, was kind of infamous for not being a great descender. And there have been a handful over the years who just they'll outclimb pretty much everybody, but they always lose time on the descents.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't come naturally to them. So it's a thing,
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys, what makes a great like someone who's really good at descents?
Crazy.
Crazy. A bit of a daredevil.
There's definitely an element of that. I don't know. I think for me, it's just, I don't mean me. I mean, my understanding of that, to answer that question, I think it's very intuitive to them. Like Vincenzo Nibali is considered one of the best descenders in the peloton right now. And then the guy who just won Milan San Remo, drawing a blank on his name, Mohoric, Moho, I saw him called on Twitter. I don't know. They just ride rails. They enter wide, exit wide. They're at the apex at that turn. Their tire is an inch from the edge of the road.
I think they share similarities with maybe a downhill skier, motorcycle racers. Like there's something about people that are able to get into that angle to just ride at that. Take their body to that limit and put those G's on their on their bodies and. Maybe even somebody like a baseball player who can hit a fastball, who can stand in the box and just face down 110-mile fastball and rip it. They say that there's been studies about baseball players who are able to hit the fastball, and they say that there's a time in your life where you can learn how to do that. And if you don't learn that in a certain age range of your life, you're just never you can get good at it, but you'll never be great at it.
That's fascinating. I never heard that.
Yeah, where your mind is receptive to it, because then by the time you get to a certain place, fear. And there's like a place where you don't know fear, or you've just never experienced, you've never had a bad experience. So everything you're more likely to do things learn things without that fear, without knowing that something bad could happen to you. And if you learn it at that time, before you've experienced fear, then, that's what you know. Versus if you learn it after you've already fallen or you've already had a bad experience, well, you're always going to be cautious because you've had that bad experience.
Yeah.
There's a lot of research that's been done.
It's pretty wild.
Stuff, so.
And, but even the pros get it wrong sometimes too.
Oh, yeah.
So in the Rio Olympic road race, which was won by Greg Van Avermaet, one of my favorite riders, but when was Rio? Was that 08? No, wait, when was it? 18?
12?
12? I can't remember. But anyway, Nibali was in the thick of the racing, the pointy end of the race, at the very, very end. And there was a descent down into Rio. And he was my pick, and I'm a big fan. And he's this ace descender, and he's great at everything, but he's really one of the best descenders. He crashed on the descent, and it was a tricky hairpin fast descent, and he crashed. He overcooked it.
Yeah.
So he was okay. He got up, and I think he finished the race.
Wow.
But they get it wrong too sometimes. So it's a skill, but you can't always see. Sometimes you have a little bit of moisture in a corner, or
Stone.
there's
It's an equipment thing. I mean,
there's the shade, and so the road doesn't dry like the rest of the road dries. So there's that difference. And then sometimes there's a little bit of gravel, or I don't know. It can be a little bit.
it's easy to get
harrowing.
it. It's easy to get it wrong.
Yeah, I was watching something about the physics of cycling, and the reason pros feather their brakes before they're hitting a turn isn't so they slow down. It's so the wheel or the rubber can soften up a bit and grip the ground.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so I guess when it's spinning super fast.
Yeah, you can warm it up.
Yeah, you warm it up, and also you get a little bit more contact to the ground.
That's fascinating.
Well, you know what? So I had somebody very high up in a bike company tell me that one of the reasons early on for the big push into disc brakes on road bikes was that they were at some of these ground fondos in California. The design guys, the big companies are all kind of located out in California. A lot of your big bike companies, and they always have people out at these races because they're huge. They're huge invitationals.
Massive, yeah.
And this is
Levi's Grand Fondo has like 10,000 people or more. I don't even know.
And it's it's their prime market in America. Like high end road bikes, California is like probably the biggest market for those. You always wonder who's buying those $8,000 and $9,000 carbon fiber road bikes. California.
Yeah.
And what they noticed was, these guys were buying all this really high end carbon wheels, tubulars, all the stuff that the pros were riding. But they were noticing a lot of crashes on the downhills in the corners. And it was because they had the people have the equipment, and they got the tubulars and all that, all the right stuff, but they don't have the skill to descend.
Right.
So they're riding the brakes down, which means they were heating up the rims, which means they were melting the glue, and the tires were rolling off in the corners, and there were just a lot of crashes. And one way to kind of solve that was disc brakes on road bikes. And that was one of the emphasis for.
I've heard versions of that, and it makes a lot of sense to me.
Yep. Oh yeah, because it was strictly a marketing. For a lot of it had to do with marketing.
Some of those descents in the Grand Tours, I mean, they can be 20 minutes long.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of the pros, they know what they're doing, so they don't have to like ride the brakes like we would. But it does happen where I've heard stories. Where tubulars roll off, and it's not because they were put on badly, necessarily. And then obviously the other big one is moisture. Anytime it's raining, discs are supposed to be so much better. But you also have to know how to ride them.
Yeah.
But
so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that is interesting.
We just went down a cool nerd hole.
We're in a bike shop. We can talk a little bit about that kind of stuff.
That's right.
So
it's not like banking.
No.
Banking's boring.
It's interesting. I'm not going to bring up the interest rate or any of that stuff right now. It's boring. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, that's Bike Shop Corner right now. We have had an interesting time here at the bike shop lately.
Yeah, Joe. Anything you had in mind?
Well, I'm sure that the headlines, people may have seen the headlines in many of a bike magazine or even in their local news about the local bike shop getting broken into, and that we are one of those bike shops.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's terrible.
You'll smash and grab, and that's kind of what they did here.
It sucks, man. Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm over it. Just now it's all about security and getting the place tightened up. We are, I think bike shops are officially a soft target now for thieves. It's become, it's kind of like carjacking. It used to be an unheard of crime, and now it's just kind of a crime. It's something that people do, and they're aware of. I think thieves have become aware that there's a lot of really valuable stuff in bike shops, easy to sell, easy to get rid of, and worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
And hard to
right now.
track, and there's just it's kind of like a black market temptation. Almost.
Yeah, I mean it's really easy to get rid of a bike. I think.
Yep.
And
there's millions of bikes.
Millions of bikes. It's an easy thing. They all kind of look the same. If you're stealing,
Yeah.
I think for the most part they do steal a lot of kind of cookie cutter stuff. A red track, a black Specialized. That kind of stuff. So. Yeah, I think bike shops have just become really easy targets, and from now on, I think bike shops just need to kind of up their security game.
That sucks, man. Really sorry to hear it. But maybe I don't know. Maybe you're able to make the shop even better now based on that, like security and things like trying to find a silver lining.
Yeah, I think we've all been. I mean, I've been in. I've taken a step back for sure this season anyway. I think even before this happened, I was already planning on just taking a step back and kind of retooling and getting ready for whatever's coming next. Certainly the bike industry has changed quite a bit. We don't even know what bike companies are going to be doing or how they're going to be doing business in the future. Right now we're still kind of onesie, twosie bikes, but I think most bike companies have seen the writing on the wall that they're going to go consumer direct in one way or the other. I think, Specialized is leading the way. And I bet that many of the big players are going to go that way.
You mean Canyon's leading the way?
Canyon, well, I mean, Canyon was always consumer direct, but I think Specialized now,
because of their recent,
their recent change.
Gotcha.
They're one of those bike shop brands who's now, doing that.
Yep.
Direct
They have an online store.
Direct to consumer. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, they just started a couple months ago.
Yeah. So I think that's going to open the floodgates for a lot of companies. I think, companies will resist at the beginning, but at some point they're going to give like everybody else. And I don't know what it's going to look like in the end, but whatever we were doing 2 or 3 years ago, it's not going to look anything like that. And so in the meantime, while they sort all of that out, I think we're just, it's probably a good idea to kind of sit this out and let the air clear a little bit. In the meantime, we fix bikes and we continue to just sell stuff that we like.
Yeah.
If I can get my hands on a bike that I like and that I really, that I think I should be selling, then I'll do that. Otherwise, I think a lot of bike shops have learned how to survive without selling bikes.
Now, a common thing you hear in that conversation is, well, you're a bike shop and people will always need service.
Mm-hmm.
So tune-ups.
Yep.
Some people don't like to fix their own flats, so they bring them in and
Thank God.
everything else that goes with all of that. So do you see that as like a valid thing?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
At least for me, for sure.
Like even the direct to consumer click to doorstep, like the Canyons of the world and now the Specialized.
Bring it on.
You can buy a bike for $1,000 or $10,000, but unless you're like pretty good at working, especially some of these high end bikes that have like all this internal cables and
even a kid's
disc
bike.
brakes and
You gotta torque
bleeding
things
brakes.
the correct to the right spec.
Yeah.
I
What's
mean,
a torque wrench? Yeah. So do you still feel like that's a very solid thing for you?
Even
Okay.
more so.
Okay.
Even more so. I mean, I think we're going hard now. I mean, it's been great because we've been, it's something we've always been good at, but I think that is kind of the way of the future for us and for a lot of bike shops. I'm not saying every bike shop is going to be like ours, but I think there's going to be a lot of bike shops that are going to pivot towards service and selling, some nicer bikes and, just getting specialized in certain things, whatever their niche is, whatever their market is demanding, and kind of get away from I think there are also going to be bike stores. And I was talking to Ed about this earlier, that I really want to deal with the customer that cares about their bike as much as I care about their bike, right? I don't really need, that customer is coming in to buy the cheapest bike I have on a busy Saturday afternoon and just kind of eating up my time and I'm never going to see again.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really worth it to me.
Yeah.
Because the money that I make on that bike, I can make that selling 2 helmets with a lot less trouble.
Wow.
So you don't make a lot of money on a $500 bike in a bike shop. You're making maybe a customer.
Is there a general markup we can talk about percentage-wise, or is it just vary so much with the bikes, like the range?
No, the margins are pretty similar whether it's a $5,000 bike or it's a $500 bike, but you do the math. What's the margin on a $500 bike? And then, obviously the margin's better the bigger dealer that you are.
Sure.
The bigger numbers of bikes you're buying.
Of course.
And also like even something like shipping, so a shop like mine, we're probably getting tagged shipping for every bike. So add another, you're taking another 30 these days, $60 in some cases, $65.
Is UPS ground $60 now?
Yeah. Some of the bike companies are charging you $60, $65. They're not eating any of the shipping costs anymore, so before you maybe buy 10 bikes and they give you free shipping, not, very few of them these days because shipping's gotten so expensive. So now you're now you're paying for shipping, you're getting a lousy margin on your bikes. And so that $500 bike, there's really not the only reason to sell that bike for me would be to maybe make a customer.
Right.
But these days that customer, you're not even making a customer.
Yeah.
And the thing that, I've witnessed with that, like when Joe's saying he doesn't want to sell a $500 bike, right? But and the reason is I think is because we're not just selling bicycles. It's kind of we're selling a lifestyle, and in order to gain that client that's going to keep coming back, you want him to enjoy the lifestyle, to be part of the culture, and
relationship,
and to eat, and to be really part of it. And that's what I've witnessed here, and I think it's special,
Yeah.
Wow, Ed.
What?
I'd give you a hug, but you're kind of far away. No, yeah. I mean, I think that's it. Is kind of selling. I mean, I would be happy to, if that's all you can afford, a $500 bike. Well, honestly, if all you can afford is a $500 bike, I'd rather fix up a used bike for you.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of another thing that we're kind of pivoting towards is maybe having some nice used stuff available for that customer, because I really do believe that a used bike, buying a good used 90s mountain bike, let's say.
Oh, here we go.
Well, I mean, it's just, or even a 90s hybrid bike, a Trek.
No, I love it.
A Trek 720 or
the golden era.
Yeah, Trek 750, and buying one of those bikes for $150 and spending $200 to $300 refurbishing that bike and getting that thing like new is way better than spending $500 on a new hybrid bike.
And people love that. People come in and once they start seeing that we're willing to help them build their bike, they're so for it, and they're like, "Oh, this is amazing!" They really get sucked into the lifestyle.
They're like invested now.
Yeah,
it's exciting, and it's like, "Ooh, this is gonna be mine. No one else has."
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and they see there's some enthusiasm. They see how enthusiastic we are about doing it, because we really are. That's something that I don't know how much of myself I can throw behind a $500 hybrid bike.
Yeah,
a brand new hybrid bike. But I can certainly. I mean, I'm like. I gush when I see like a cool old rock hopper getting with a customer willing to spend $300 to refurbish that bike. I'm like, I love doing that stuff. I love it. I believe in it because I believe in it, and also I just know what the result is going to be.
And they're great to work on. To be honest, too.
Yeah, and they're relatively easy to work on, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, I think it's like once you know, then you're kind of like, okay, this is cool. This is fun. Now it's like, how do I want it to look? Do I want these type of bars? Do I want these wheels? Whatever.
And that's amazing, because that's the way that we came up in the business.
Yeah.
That's the way that I came up in the business, was like, hey, let's build you a bike. The nice bikes, all the nice bikes were built.
And people really appreciate that. They'll come in and they're like, you spent the time to help me.
Yeah, we've done a couple of
know?
these. So Ed's got a friend that we redid a bike for her, and he constantly gets
She's always
messages.
telling me about how people are stopping her to talk to her about her
Nice.
bicycle.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And it's not, and because no one's ever seen one like that.
Yeah.
And
What'd you build for her?
it was an old rally. It was her mother's, her late mother's rally.
Ooh.
She they were cleaning out the garage, and it was an old steel rally mixed frame.
Love these stories.
She brought it in. It was super rusty, beat up, right? But we went ahead and brought it down to the frame, put some frame saver in it, cleaned it up. We left the patina of like the rust on there a little bit. We cleaned it up as much as we could.
Nice.
And you could still see a little bit of the the scuffs and scratches that her mother left on there.
Yeah. Character.
Right. And we put all chrome everything on there.
Yeah. We did
Nice.
we did a job on it. It
That
was
sounds
nice.
amazing. I'd love to see a picture.
Actually, I think I might have one.
Yeah, it was a beautiful result. It was great. It was something that when people do that, when people are put things in our hands, it's always a lot of fun. We always end up spending way more time and energy on that bike than what the repair actually costs, just because we like doing.
Oh yeah,
it,
yeah. The ROI on that's not going to be killing it, but you're going to have a lot of other valuable stuff you get from it.
Yeah.
I was going to say in the relationship thing too, like tell me if I'm wrong, because you're in this business, I'm not, but I know like I have a local shop, the Bike Lane in Logan Square that I like.
Yeah.
Just like really solid mechanics, kind of no BS. And the guy who runs the front of the shop, just like really knowledgeable guy. And I can go in there and have him do something that I just don't want to mess with. I brought the e-bike there. There were just a couple of small things they did, but it's and then we stopped by there today, and like we were looking at baskets for Sarah's bike, and it's just we didn't buy anything, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna probably spend some money there over the coming few weeks. Maybe not like $500, but maybe like $100. And then I can see recommending that place to someone else who's like, hey, do you know a good bike shop? And then who knows, maybe I'll eventually buy something bigger from there later in there. So it's just that kind of relationship, which I think is cool, especially if you got like a good shop and you do really good service and people feel like they're not getting ripped off and you're not just trying to upsell them or accessorize them and all that kind of old school, stuff that you'd sometimes hear about.
Yeah, I think that's our kind of place, and we've always been service centric. Just not being a big shop, we have always focused a lot on service, and I think that it's. We like fixing things. We do like. I mean, we get ourselves in trouble sometimes, but we enjoy fixing. We enjoy fixing.
Oops, I wasn't supposed to saw that off.
Sometimes we open a can of worms.
Oh yeah, a lot. I mean, we've learned the hard way with a lot of things.
Cut twice, measure once.
Yeah, just things. You want to help a customer out, and you decide to do one extra thing, and before you know it, it's like, oh my God, I'm here all night long.
Oh,
okay. for a flat fix.
Not like mistakes or anything.
Right.
No.
It's just things that need to be done, and we're like, we're gonna do it for them because they need it, but it wasn't part of the bill.
Oh yeah,
gotcha.
It's never been like never been like a mistake that's gotten us in trouble.
like
we could fix mistakes.
Yeah.
Like their tire is gonna pop.
More like like something's going on with their bottom bracket or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or a seat post is seized in a frame.
Yeah, and you notice it because usually you have to raise a seat to put the bike in the stand, and so it's
but
something
they've never noticed it because they've never touched.
touched their seat.
Yeah.
So you end up doing things, and I often and I had a couple of bikes like that over the last week where I work on the bike. I'll do something to the bike not because of the customer, but because of the bike.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a 40-year-old Panasonic.
It's a beautiful
Nice.
bike.
It's a beautiful bike. The customer is not taking care of this thing at all, but here it is. It's still on the road. And I'm like, I have to do this.
Something in the cosmos made it come to you, Joe.
It's
Mhm.
You're going to take care of that bike proper.
Yeah, and and some of these bikes I could spend 4 hours with.
Oh, yeah.
And I could make the bike like new. So, at some point there's a cutoff. I mean, I just have to be realistic about what I can do and what I'm getting paid to do and how many bikes I
totally
have to
think
fix.
that's fascinating. In my own version of that, because I'm not a mechanic,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll go for a ride with like a friend,
Yeah.
and they show up on their bike, and I'm just like, oh, like
Yeah.
they love their bike, but it's like they haven't replaced the brake pads in
Mhm.
a decade.
Yeah.
Everything's fraying, everything, you
Oh.
know, the whole shebang.
Squeaking. It's
And I'm just like, I want to go at it,
Yeah.
but I know like I'm gonna go full bore if I go at it, and that'll be like
Look around the bike
100
shop right now, Danny. Look at
Yeah.
all the look at
Yeah.
the big pile of bikes around you.
Yeah.
I mean, there are piles.
Like
of
I can't
bikes.
believe their
Piles.
tires are still rolling.
Piles.
You know,
piles.
just these. Everything's like the sidewalls are all like dry rotted. Just everything, and I'm just But I'm kind of like I want to do it because it's so satisfying. It's like
It is.
oddly satisfying.
It is. It is.
But it's also like, yeah, it's their bike. I don't want to mess with.
You know, I watch on YouTube. There are things that I just like watching on YouTube. There are guys that unclog drains. They just go around their city or their town, and all they do is they unclog the drains, or like a culvert, some sort of culvert.
Something
or something
cathartic about.
Yeah, yeah. They just like, oh, it's all clogged. Look what this beaver. Look at the damage this beaver has done, and they just unclog. That's all they do. That's what the whole.
Are they like plumbers?
Nope.
Okay.
It's just a dude.
Oh, it's just
a dude, but he has millions of views.
Does he have that like crazy long thing that the plumbers use? What's that like?
No, this guy just uses a rake, and he's got like big boots waders.
Oh my god!
Yeah, he goes by the name of Post 10 on YouTube.
Does he have a lot of followers? It sounds like he's monetized.
Millions
the
of
channel.
views, millions of views. It's very satisfying because he'll
Shout
go
out Post 10.
Oh yeah, Post.
You
10.
know it?
Oh, I gotta get this guy on.
He showed it to me.
Oh, he's very serious about it. He's very serious about it. And then there's a bunch of guys. There are like landscaper guys who will find like the most people who just let their houses go nuts with the grass is really high and just like crazy. And then they'll go in and they'll knock on the door and they ask the guy they'll ask him if they can cut the grass and do their lawn for free. And the people are like, what's the deal? What do you want from me?
Where's my gun?
It's like, I got a YouTube channel. I just want to take my.
They're like, what are you on, kid?
They're like, yeah, exactly.
Stay off the drugs.
And this crew of, it's usually one guy. It's just like one guy or maybe somebody and his son, and they'll just go at this house and like give it like this.
So satisfying.
You know what? There are also hair stylists who will. They'll pluck a homeless guy off the street.
Oh, I've seen those.
And give him a makeover, and then they make him look like a model, but with really bad teeth. And they give him like this really like fancy hairdo, but then they just kick him back out into the street. I mean, that's the part that's always sad.
I was gonna say that there's an ethical thing there going on, but
that's a weird thing.
That whole,
but I want to do that with. I was thinking about doing that with bikes.
Yeah, we should do that. We should just ride around in your van.
Yeah, just the bike path. We just hang out at the bike path. Like, hey, you.
Yeah,
bring that thing over here.
We just go to work.
Then we go. You know what? Maybe we'll do that. I'm going to save that.
I'm down.
I think you should. I mean,
it's got to be a winter thing. I don't have time in the
I
summer.
would just do it when you get that. You'll know it when you see it. Mm-hmm. You'll get that bike. And you're like, this is the bike.
Okay.
I would do that. I don't know, and throw it in the stand.
I might have to edit all of this out too. I can't give out all my brilliant ideas. I'm editing out the other stuff. I'm going to edit this out. I'm going to edit certain things out.
Our tens of listeners are going to steal it all. Pat,
hey, screw you, buddy. Tens of listeners.
Oh yeah,
I got to say.
Do you have something?
I don't know.
I was going to ask, but I'm like, I'll let Joe bring it up if he wants to.
So, if you're listening to this, we have already played. You've maybe had the opportunity to listen to our first guest,
Ronnie
Romance, Ultra Romance. That was an awesome interview. That was a good time with him.
I had a ton of fun.
Cycling influencer, big time cycling influencer, friend of the show.
Now a friend of the show.
Now a friend of the show.
Pod.
Friend of the pod.
Is he? Does he come on regularly?
He came out once. We're going to try to. We'll see.
We did a two-parter. Joe made it into a two-parter, which was good, and we had him on a video stream thing and interviewed him. And yeah, you can listen to it. But long story short, he's kind of like this influencer, and he's just this kind of fascinating guy and
popular fellow out in the world of bike.
Yeah,
and that episode got the listens.
Let's see.
Joe was posting some stuff on the gram. I couldn't really see the numbers, but
Well, it was just all the various towns.
Yeah, I
you
saw
know,
that. Yeah.
Before we had like Palos Hills, Chicago, maybe one person in Leicester.
Peoria.
We had that one guy in Ireland that was
Sandwich,
listening.
Illinois.
And now we have like listeners all over the, the first episode. Yeah, I say we can say over 100 now.
Over 100 people listen to it?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Easily over 100. And
Wow. Well, if anyone is listening and they listen to that, thank you very much.
Yeah,
And
maybe people have signed up, for the pod and because of that. And
that's cool. I mean, obviously, we're not obsessed with growing, so to speak, but it's obviously very cool when people listen in, and hopefully they enjoyed the conversation. I enjoyed it, you enjoyed it, and I think Ultra enjoyed it, and it was super fun to chat with them. And the idea is to have Ed, I think, getting to what you were maybe asking about, the idea is to have not every single show, but we want to be majority like guest driven. Like we want to have people on and just talk to interesting folks who are in the bike industry, but they don't necessarily have to be. So, this is kind of like a catch up pod here today, and it's cool to have you on. But I think, in general, we want to have like hosts, guests pretty regularly.
Yeah. And we're going to try and score some people. Bono is on our list.
Oh, nice.
Bono,
The Pope,
big. We're going for the big ones.
Eddie Merckx,
Yeah.
Eddie
Merckx.
Van Damme, the other famous Belgian.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. You ever hear of him?
Yeah.
He's a famous fellow. So,
Jokes aside, I've actually been thinking about who we can have on next. I got a couple ideas. I won't reveal them now, but
no, keep that to yourself.
I've been thinking about it.
There's some talent coming through Chicago that I'm sure you guys could snag.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
I think everyone
Yeah.
at some point
Get them
must
to
go
come down
through.
here to the bike shop.
We could even grab them at O'Hare for
Sure.
if they got a layover.
Over in the United Terminal. It's colorful over there.
There you go.
I'm sure we can get into the lounge. Some VIP.
You know what they
lounge.
have at O'Hare that I didn't realize? And actually, I ate there. I had 2 hours to kill. I was waiting. So Sarah and I were in California when the pandemic started. You know that one weekend where it got like real, and it felt like it was officially starting the lockdown. So they had the airports basically closed. Remember O'Hare? Those crazy images. People were crowding around O'Hare.
Oh yeah.
There was all that hysteria. Anyway, that very weekend, we flew back from California. We had to take separate flights, so I had to wait for a couple hours. So I went to, do you know Publican? There's a restaurant.
Yeah.
So I love that place. So they have a mini Publican restaurant in O'Hare. So I hung out in there. It was actually really nice.
Really?
Yeah, it's like high end food, but not like fine dining.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have like a really nice beer selection, wine selection, really great food, and so I hung out there. I can't even remember the point of my story, but it's very, very cool.
I think
there a dress code?
I mentioned O'Hare or something.
Yeah. Well, actually, the one thing I was thinking about too, and people who listen to the pod will remember this when we talk to Ultra. But so this guy Ultra, I interviewed him way back in the day. I wrote this story, et cetera, et cetera. But I caught him at Logan Airport in Boston. So that's where we did our original interview. So something about airports.
I love airports, train stations, airports, bus stations. Travel. There's all sorts of stuff going on there.
Do you hang out at the Greyhound station downtown?
I haven't in a long time, but I have. Back when I was younger, it was always there's a lot of weird stuff going on.
Yeah,
at
it's
the
a little
train
seedy.
station.
I actually, when I came back from the Czech Republic, from the Peace Corps, I went through, that's where I completed my journey.
You were in the Peace Corps.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's very, very cool. But long story short, but I flew to New York and then I spent some time and then I ended up taking a bus.
You took the bus home?
I took the bus.
Really? Oh, you're just feeling you're still feeling very European.
I was still feeling very European.
Yeah.
And it was not the greatest experience. I was like, oh, this is definitely not like those big coaches in Europe, which are just insanely beautiful. But anyway, it ended my journey there. So,
but bus trips in Europe are a different experience altogether. It's not as, although air travel now in Europe is much cheaper, and I think a lot of people travel by plane now and high-speed rail, especially in Spain,
Yeah.
that the buses aren't necessarily as, maybe the main way of travel that they used to be.
Especially now with oil and gas.
Mm-hmm. But
Even diesel.
train. I used to do a lot of bus travel
Yep.
in Europe, and it was nice. I mean, it was back in the days when you could still smoke on a bus.
Yeah.
There was a lot of smoking.
Were you a
Yeah.
big smoker back then?
Well,
Joe?
it was you were smoking. I was racing bikes. I wasn't smoking
Secondhand.
but yeah, the front, the rear was smoking. The front was not, and there was no curtain. There was nothing. There was just like if you smoked, you sat in the back.
Felt very old
You
school.
guys ever see that photo of the Tour de France guys back in the day smoking cigarettes
Yep,
before
yep.
the hill climb to open their lungs up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man, and drinking, and they did coke, they did everything, all the pills
Mhm.
back in the day. Yeah,
They
there's
were doping for real.
there's some great reads on that stuff. That time was nuts. It's a whole thing, but the coaches, I was kind of obsessed with them. Riding in some of those, some of them were beautiful. You
Oh,
felt
yeah.
like you were in a rock band, like
Really?
just
Yeah.
high end luxury.
Mm-hmm.
Just you wouldn't feel the road. You were just it was like you're on air.
Yeah.
Air conditioning, flat screen,
Televisions. You didn't have that experience ever here in the United
Oh,
States.
never. It's a different
buses,
thing.
It's a whole different thing.
Not like the CTA buses at all.
No.
But even like the Greyhounds, like
It's still a
tend
bus.
to be very run down.
It was like a nice public transportation bus.
Yeah.
It was just like padded seats on a
Yeah.
on a city bus.
Make buses great again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So
look, Ed is getting a text right now from his girlfriend. He's like, "Where are you? Where are
you at
You
that
said you were gonna be home.
stupid bike shop?
Where are you gonna be? You're gonna be home." It's okay. He's rethinking that relationship anyway. Right? It's okay. We're not gonna make you.
I think
complain.
that's how. I mean, that's how they just are, right? They just worry about you a lot.
If you're
Well,
lucky.
If you're lucky, they think
If
about
you're
you and they
lucky,
worry
yeah.
about you a little bit. But it can also be a little needy. I don't know. I don't know what's
I don't
going on
know.
there. I don't know what's going on with you and her.
I don't.
All I'm telling
she's
you
just
is-
worried all the time. Like, where are you? What's going on? You know.
Yeah, where are you?
It's like Oscar Wilde said, the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good thing she's worrying about you, I guess. I mean, that's good. The alternative is she doesn't care at all, and then that's a whole different
There
thing.
you
Yeah,
go.
right. She could be caring about someone else.
There's a perfect amount of like care, not care. There's like the comfortable side. Can you guys sit in a room both together without saying anything?
Well, I can.
Huh?
I can.
Joe, that's the weirdest question
Yeah.
I've ever heard.
Well, the comfortable silence.
Silence.
Like, can you just like, can you do
Can
that?
you go to Finland and hang out with the Finns who
Mhm.
never
Can you
talk?
just be like, she's reading a book, you're on your phone, whatever it is.
Oh,
Like,
no.
no,
No.
you always have to engage.
No. No. I'm the one that's like chill, reading a book.
And she's
Um,
like, honey,
Yeah, reading up on the market or something, and she's like, "Why aren't you paying attention to
oh,
me?"
pay attention to me. Come on, rub my feet.
Yeah,
Come on, rub my feet.
you didn't even ask me how my day was yet.
I'm gonna send her to this.
Oh my God, this is bad. We're gonna get in trouble.
We are gonna get in trouble.
She's gonna come knocking. And how long have you been with your SO?
It's gonna be 2 years in October.
2 years, man. It's almost time.
I feel like there's some strange pressure coming. Maybe.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah, she wants to have kids. I know.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a big one. So
It
I
is a
mean,
big
that's one of that's one that you really have to agree on because I mean, I think Danny would agree. It's like that's a major, like that's something that you really have to be on board with because
It really is.
I mean that's one of those real hard lines that you don't want to. I was going to say compromise. But I don't know that compromises. You don't want to make you don't want to do something there that you really don't want to do.
Yeah, because I think I mean, if I
Just
decide to
to-
do that, I'm just gonna be living for that child the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Right? Or
I'm not a parent, I can't say, but
Yeah.
I seem to hear similar things.
yeah, I mean, I think I know I have friends. I have good friends who are very honest with me, and like I know for a fact that they would not be they would not be in their relationship had it not been for kids because they wanted to do the right thing because
I'm sure it's
they-
pretty common.
Yeah, I mean it's very common. I think that that's just kind of normal if you're kind of a good human being. Is that
Yeah.
all right? I'm going to deal with this because I made this decision and I'm in it and
At least till the kids are in college.
at least till the kids are in. We see that a lot here in the
Yeah?
suburbs. I see it a lot in
Oh,
the
yeah.
suburbs here where we're at.
Yeah.
I came face to face with that reality often.
Mm.
Where like empty nest. All right, let's go, and I see it a lot. I see it a lot out here in the suburbs. But I have friends who like who cautioned me along the way, and maybe just who said things to me about that, who are very honest about.
I just
their
imagine like people
relationships.
pulling you like into the alley,
Joe,
giving you like
oh.
it's like a mobster.
It was kind of like that.
Beat
Like,
up.
oh, Joe, had I known, don't get me wrong, I love my kids, but
How old are you now? You're around 30?
I'm gonna be 31.
Okay, it's 31. You still have. I would say you still definitely have time.
you go all the way to 50, Ed.
I heard chicks are really into guys that are like
Don't
35.
say chicks. Don't say chicks.
So
You can't say chicks anymore. Come on,
I don't
man.
know.
You're
Women are-
31.
You're right, but you
Yeah,
know,
I could say chicks. You can't.
See, we've come full circle.
Yeah.
So now we're there's a weird like
Oh, we
decade
just
or two where you
lost
can't.
all of our women listeners.
No, that's fine. I think
all
you
right.
could say chicks.
You can say chicks. It's
as
okay.
long. I mean, I don't think there's anything bad about that.
Oh,
but
I could say chicks.
it depends on the context.
Yeah.
respectfully, chicks respectfully,
Mm-hmm.
I think
like guys that are like around 35.
Chicks. It's okay.
So I have until like I'm 35.
I think you have some time.
Mhm. You
And
have time.
first of all, never take advice from me. But if I were going to give you advice, I would say you have some time,
Mm-hmm.
and do what you want to do. And it's going to sound corny, but go with your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh man.
And
Go
in 10, 20, 30 years, you'll look back and be like, I did that and it worked out. Because I think it's true.
And you got to be honest with yourself. Like, really be honest too. Like, just be like, all right, is this something I want or do
Yeah.
I not want that?
Right. I won't tell you this whole story, but I'll give you a super quick version of it. So when I was dating and I was on some dating apps,
Mm-hmm.
I met this woman who was a little bit younger than me, but it didn't come across in like the profile, because you can for some of them you can choose like, do you want to get married, do you want to have kids, and there's like different types of answers you can give, like definitely no, definitely yes, and then there's like maybe, it depends, that kind of stuff. And then you can like search in the app for like people based on those on that criteria.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of thing. So anyway, I met this woman, and I found her very attractive, very smart. I felt like there was a connection, like I liked her. So we had a couple dates, but I think like might have been the second date or the third. But all of a sudden she was like talking about kids.
Oh wow.
Oh.
And I honestly thought it was a joke at first. I thought she was just putting me on, because she had a pretty interesting sense of humor. But the short version is, I was like, oh, well, yeah, I don't know, I've always been kind of like, if it ever happened, I wouldn't say, in other words, I wouldn't be like, definitely no.
Mm-hmm.
But it would have to be the right person, this and that. And so that didn't last very long.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt a level of frustration, and it was odd and it was intense, because I think we had like 6 dates.
Whoa.
And within a year, I saw her. She didn't see me. I saw her out in public with a baby.
Oh
Oh
wow.
man.
True story. She was pushing the stroller.
She was
And,
ready, man.
It was just very surreal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was within 12 months. So she, well, who knows? I can't speculate.
Mhm.
But something happened and she had a baby.
I'm seeing ex-girlfriends with babies now and that are pregnant. It's just like blows my mind. I'm just like, wow, that could have been me.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? That could have been you right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. And hope everything's great. It was just very, it was kind of bizarre.
Ed, wait till you see an ex-girlfriend with a grandchild.
With a grandchild.
Mind
You-
blower.
you had that
I
happen
did.
to
Yeah,
you.
mind blower.
You know,
Like, holy cow.
am I ever gonna like feel older when I get to a certain age, or am I just gonna be
When
like,
you get to be our age, for
Yeah.
sure.
like you know what I mean? Like mentally, am I gonna feel older? Or is it just gonna be like,
No, you know what? and I asked
It's a good question.
yeah, I don't. Shit, man, I don't feel older.
Right.
I mean, I feel older. Obviously, there's some things that I'm obviously older. I don't care about, like the Grammy Awards.
Yeah.
You know, like
Wait a second, the slap?
like I mean, I don't really.
Oh, that was the Oscars.
See,
Yeah,
I see. You don't even. See, we don't even know. I don't even know who's appearing on the Grammy Awards. Every once
the
in a while.
Emmys?
Yeah. So some of that, like, yeah, there's certain things where I'm like, I don't know who that. I have no idea who certain people are anymore, and like, oh, I'm older, you know. But I think at that level, yeah, and some physical things where I'm like, ooh, there's a little bit of creaking, or that's a weird pain. I wonder, is that arthritis or what is that? You know,
like does your is it like your mind stays the same, but your body just like gets older? So you just like wake up one day and you're in an older body one day. You know,
your vision. You know, there are there's little physical things, but there's certainly some mental. They're just references and weird things.
Yeah.
And how is that going to affect me and my bicycle? You know?
Just keep riding.
Keep riding.
Keep riding.
Keep riding.
Fall down, get up.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's actually a fascinating question. I can see that being answered in a lot of different ways, and yeah, I think in some ways you don't age. I feel like you kind of don't age, like mentally, but I can't really explain it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like in some ways you do age in like in your mind, so to speak.
I'm accepting it more. Like I'm accepting more of my age and my place in life. I think going back to why I have a bike shop and why I've been here, I think I've been giving it a lot of thought. I'm like, what is this? What am I doing? You know, more so than, if this is not strictly a place to make money with, because it's a business. So at the end of the day, it's got to make, it's got to pay some bills and do what it's got to do. But it's always been bigger for me. So like, what is it really, And, I don't know.
Existential.
I kind of lost track of
No, it's cool.
Yeah,
the age right there.
Yeah, but that is
senior moment.
That is the age.
But I think my sense too, I was just going to say, is like, obviously experience, the older you get, the more experience you have.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a fine point on it, but I feel like there's definitely an element. You're asking, like, do you feel older, like kind of mentally? I think just if you start to look back, like memory is a very interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you just think back, like we're talking about, like when we were younger, like racing in Europe and all that kind of stuff we had, like you think about those experiences, and it doesn't like make me feel older. But I just feel like I have so many more layers of experience, and there's just this kaleidoscope, and it's, it's not really an answer to your question, but I think it's a really good question.
And I think it's different for different people. So, I mean, you're asking Danny and I think for the most part, Danny still has a pretty youthful attitude, and so do I. And we've kind of kept up with the times, and we're doing a podcast. Look at us. We're doing a podcast.
I still bunny hop curbs.
Yeah, we're doing with the kids. We're still riding our bikes, and I still got a bike shop. So, I mean, you're dealing with a we didn't go off and have families, and I don't have grandkids, and
we were the rejects.
That. We're the opposite. We're at the other end. We did what we pursued our interest and what we love to do, and we kind of followed our heart and picked the direction that people told us we probably shouldn't.
Yeah,
right.
Speaking of Peace Corps, people told me not to go to the Peace Corps. Not they weren't like being mean about it, but they were like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" But I think part of it too is I think sometimes people just overthink things, like with kids, like.
You have to think more.
Like not having kids is totally fine.
Yeah.
Like it's 100% fine. I know there's a lot of like bias and there's like traditional values and things of that nature, and that's fine, but I think it's a little BS. Like, if you want to have kids, great. If not, it's totally fine.
It's totally cool.
There's a lot of other stuff going on in the world.
In fact, it's a lot of fun not having kids, like without the responsibility and without there's a lot of I see friends that went that direction, and it's great. And so you talk about people getting old. I see some of my friends
that was my next question.
That had kids.
They have kids. Do you think they are mentally and
different? Yeah, they have to be
for sure.
Right? Yeah. Because I mean, they watch their kids get older. I think age means maybe different things to them than to me. It just means like, can I wear that or can I not wear that? It's like that T-shirt. Should I wear that T-shirt? Can I still get away?
Can I get away with that?
Yeah.
A print graphic T-shirt.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it, is probably biological too. There's something in our, I don't know. There's something where it's definitely going to affect and change you. And I'm not a parent, but I also know a lot of parents who love their kids and they love having kids, and it's their everything. And I think I get that on some level.
Yeah, I think they were designed. I think there's certain people that are just designed for it more than I was. Obviously, I mean, there are people that just have that calling, just naturally. They're just 6 kids and baseball and all that stuff, and they totally dig it. And
they're just rah family, and everything is just about the family. And hey, that's great.
Thank
but,
God, there's not everybody could be like us.
There's
right?
that, and then there's like us, and then there's people in the middle. And
I think there's certainly a lot of younger people that are now embracing what we've been kind of living for a long time, where it's like, hey, wait, you know what? There's too many people in the world. I don't want to have kids. I just want to travel. I want a van. I want a tiny house. I want a tiny house. I don't want stuff. I don't even want
a creepy
CDs.
van.
Thanks for listening to the Bike Shop Society podcast. If you'd like to get in touch with us, email us at mail@bikeshopsociety.com. If you're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you can look us up at Bike Shop Society. That's it. Get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. Now, back to the show. Goodbye.
Well, what's crazy is today, Sarah and I, on our little noodling bike ride, we're just kind of just going all over the place without any aim or direction. It was tons of fun. But we came across this rally, and there were thousands at it, like downtown, right by Grant Park. And it was really, I took a couple little videos, but there are a lot of angry people up there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'd never been to a rally like that, and it was real. Oh, man.
Yeah.
People were mad and
50%
screaming.
of the US population.
There were a couple thousand people out there. They just finished like a march.
Wow.
And then just to be me, what was I looking at? This dude was riding this old school Eddie Merckx frame.
Really?
And he just stopped. And I went over to him. I'm like, nice ride. He's like, oh, thanks. Like, he's like, you know what an Eddie Merckx is?
Did he have sunglasses on? There's this guy that I used to work at Grant Park, and there was a bike messenger that rode an Eddie Merckx, and he would smoke a cigarette every day outside of there. He was just like very hardcore Eddie Merckx, kitted out and just delivering packages like crazy. Like I was like, man, I wanted to make a movie about that guy.
For anyone who maybe doesn't know, Eddie Merckx is considered the greatest cyclist of all time. Although some people say Mariana Voss is the greatest cyclist of all time, but that's who that is. But so there's me at a rally. Just kind of, we're riding by. We stopped for like literally 2 minutes, and what do I notice? The dude on the really cool
It's funny you say that, 'cause
Eddie Merckx.
I'm the same way. If I'm anywhere and I see a cool bike, I'm like, yo, it's because we're bike guys.
It's just like watching television. You always see it. You see the errors, and if you ever watch some sort of bike thing, there's a bike involved in a scene. If there's something that's wrong, it's like, oh, that guy's too low on his seat.
The Seinfeld mountain bike, I think it's a Klein. The fork's backward.
Yep.
Oh yeah. That'll bother me.
Yeah.
There's theories too that it was intentional to show like how Jerry's so aloof and all this kind of stuff.
Joe, didn't you used to be like a bike expert for photo shoots and stuff?
I was in a few things. I've been involved in
He's so modest.
In the arts, in the movie business.
Didn't you do Playboy or something?
Yes.
Joe. Yes.
You had to make sure that the saddle height was correct and everything, right?
I was involved in a couple of photo shoots for that magazine.
Just for the articles.
I brought some bicycles over for they
were in Chicago.
Yeah, they were located like 2 blocks away from the bicycle shop. So we loaned some bicycles out.
There was a woman I remember in the cycle smithy shop, and she worked at Playboy. I'm having this flashback right now, and I was wanting to break into editing, which is eventually what I did. But I remember asking her, like, do you need like a copy editor? Do you need any kind of proofreader? Can I just find a way in? And I don't remember anything happening after that. but I think that was your connection.
Yeah.
I'm just remembering that for the first time.
Well, I mean, I used to deal with Christy Hefner at some point during my bicycle. The daughter of Hugh Hefner, who was running, who went on to run the company. So she was a customer of mine at Turin Bike Shop in downtown when we were in downtown. Her employees bought her a bicycle for her birthday or something.
So she could ride along the lakefront and stuff.
Yeah, they just all pitched in to buy her a bike, and she came in and she picked up the bike, and she became a pretty regular customer for several summers. Her and a friend of hers.
Wow.
Yeah, and there was a time she'd come in. Hey, Joe.
That's
I'm like,
amazing.
hey,
That's
how are you?
amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Christy. How are you, Christy?
This has been the most wide-ranging conversation we've ever
You
had.
know what it is, guys? It's my ADD. It's my ADD's everywhere, and it's taking you everywhere.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good.
It's all right.
It's all good. We haven't mentioned the Giro starting.
Oh, it's a Giro d'Italia. Good thing it lasts 3 weeks, Danny. You have plenty of time. Yeah, that's right. The Giro d'Italia did start a couple of days ago. Yeah,
Friday, and
yesterday.
Vanderpool won. Very cool. First stage finish, and then the TT.
Big crash. I saw a clip of a crash.
Caleb Ewan,
and he crashed on his own, right? He did.
So it was a relatively easy opening stage, like long and flattish. Breakaway gets away, and then they time it, and then they catch the break, and then everything came to the finish. It was a 5K climb, but it was a very gentle climb. It wasn't super steep, but I think it went up steeper toward the end. So it was kind of a stage for like a puncher. So it came down to Vanderpool, and I'm drawing a blank on the other guy's name. He just won Gent Wevelgem, the African rider. But those two were racing, and then Caleb Ewan was right behind him. And Caleb Ewan kind of like closed his eyes or put his head down for like a nanosecond, and he touched wheels, and he went soaring. He hit the deck.
So they actually there was some sort of
he hit the back wheel of the rider in front of him.
Gotcha.
I'm just drawing a blank on the guy's name, but it was a great stage. So yeah, the Giro started. I know you love your Grand Tours, Joe. I do as well.
Yes.
And where can I watch the Giro?
You can watch it in the U.S. So cycling TV rights are just crazy, but I literally have 3 or 4 subscriptions depending on like which race I'm trying to watch. But the answer is GCN, Global Cycling Network.
Oh, okay.
So they have an app, and you have to pay the subscription.
Okay.
But they have every stage live, and they have the recaps, and they actually have really cool videos as well.
They have a TV app too?
I'm
they
pretty
do.
sure they do. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can watch it directly. I have that sub as well, and you can get the app for your smart TV.
It's actually a super nice app. They're very high quality. The commentary is great.
Yep.
You can't go wrong with it. It's it's not super cheap, but
do we get a bike shop discount?
No, we're not there yet.
Yeah,
We're not there yet. Maybe one day
should
they're
do
welcome.
that.
They're welcome to sponsor the show if they like it. And all it's going to cost them is 3 memberships.
We should give them that
3
idea.
lifetime
We should
memberships.
give it free to every bike shop so they could play it on other TVs.
Yeah, well, I think that would kind of ruin their business model at this point. Those are really the only people that are probably paying
you're
for the
right.
app is like bike shop people.
but then the crazy thing is then for the tour we're gonna have to use a different sub. So every race is different, and
It's all over the place.
NBC has the rights for that, right? Or no?
I think you're right.
In the US, yeah.
Peacock. It'll be their streaming app now. But
Well, we'll talk a little bit more about the Giro in the coming weeks. I think we've got 2 or 3 weeks to cover this, and maybe we'll do,
yeah, the guy's name I was thinking of, sorry, is Gourmet.
Oh, he's a gourmet.
Girmay. Gourmet. So he's the African rider.
Yeah.
He was the first black rider to win Gent Wevelgem.
Yeah. I saw
Which
that.
was amazing and just crazy cool for cycling. But yeah, I think he's a first-year pro or second-year pro. He's pretty new. He's very young, and
Yeah.
already people are just like, this guy is going to be like
Oh, yeah. He was
huge sensation.
He had
So-
some pretty decent finishes before he won that again bubble.
Yeah, the U23 World Championships, I think he was on the podium. But yeah, so there was a nice little crash there. But, Ewan crashed at the Tour last year in a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
And I think somewhat similar circumstances, but we'll leave the racing for another time.
Yeah.
But everybody should watch the Giro d'Italia.
Yeah, that's a good.
The most beautiful hard race in the world, as they say.
It's a fun one to watch.
A lot of people like it more than the Tour, actually. They kind of inside geeky. I like both, but
I don't think people are afraid to fail at that race like they are at the Tour. There's a lot of pressure at the Tour, but at this one, they're still kind of fine tuning themselves and kind of going for it and seeing how far they can like last and try to surprise themselves a little bit. So.
And it's favors some riders more, and it's like the climbs are a little different nature. And it actually started in Hungary this year. So they're in Hungary for 3 days, and then they have a rest day where they'll travel to Sicily and then pick it up from there.
Oh, nice. That's
there you go. There's a mini race update.
Speaking of Hungary, I am now hungry, so I think we'll wrap it up.
I was going to say the hunger.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey, man.
Hey,
great to have you on.
Thanks for hanging out. I kept you here on purpose because just want to get you in trouble with your.
We'll talk about the Fed rake height and Jerome Powell next time and all that fun banking stuff.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna nerd out on you guys about that.
I love it.
I love that stuff, to be honest.
Yeah.
See you later. See ya.
Ciao.